As a human being, you're allowed to learn from your own mistakes. But as a human being, you're also allowed to learn from the mistakes of other people. That's no harm. And we have to talk in this episode about control, and about control in fly casting, and also about the fact that my research shows that the whole game in fly casting and fly fishing is out of control. Totally out of control, because it never even has looked into what control really means. And there is a science of control, and that science is called the science of control theory. And that science of control theory comes, amongst others, from the military science of snipering and shooting. Of areas where you have to be very, very precise or you're dead. Okay? And fly fishing, and many fly fishers and fly casting instructors have forgotten that a fly rod is in fact a weapon. And when you learn how to handle a weapon, a certain discipline comes with it. But with a fly rod, this discipline I can see nowhere. Because what I mostly see is, whack it out there. And I try to get that cast done as quick as possible. And getting something done as quick as possible is an indication for your mind rushing you through the cast all the time for trigger punching. That's a science, military science of shooting, and control theory says worry about the input and the output will make itself. So telling someone form a tight loop is totally output oriented. And let me ask you a couple of questions in that regard. These questions are: how do you feel a rod? Can you tell me, or can you say yourself, after you made a cast, where or when did I stop this rod, or where or when did I apply power? Are you able to gauge your own casting? And what is, in your opinion, the greatest sign of control in casting? What is a controlled caster? What is control made out of? That's what fly fishing has to ask itself. Or if you want to become a better caster, and if you want to control this rod and line system well, I recommend to deal with what the science of control theory says. And the science of control theory also works with loops, not the ones that are the hoax, the scam of fly casting, these ones here, because a loop is an expression of rod vibration. Science of control theory works with closed loop control systems and open loop control systems. Do you know what an open loop control system is? Do you know what a closed loop control system is? In short and easy ways put, an open loop control system is a system where your brain gets no feedback, where you can't feel the rod. Can you feel the rod against the line? Can you match a line to a rod no matter what it says on the rod? Can you do that? If you can't do that, you have no control over the rod and line system. I'm sorry to tell you that. If you can do that, you have a bit more control over the rod and line system, but probably not as much control as I have. Because I have a closed loop control system. And a closed loop control system, have a closed loop control system in place means your brain, your mind gets feedback all the time. This is the way how snipers in the military are trained and how they shoot to kill stuff. And hunters too. Now, you have to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, do I get feedback from what I do with this fly rod? Or am I only making this cast as in, I need to whack this out as quick as possible to get it over and done with? Because if you do that, it means you're trigger punching your rod. And your mind is rushing you through the cast and you're not getting feedback. And what is it that makes you, that allows for this feedback, for that great control? What is a sign of the greatest control in casting? In my opinion, I'll show you what it is. Show you the greatest sign of control with my top section of the rod. The greatest sign of control is this one here. Show you this again. It's this one here. Did you see this? The greatest sign of control is someone who can cancel a cast, who can abort a cast, who can say in mid-cast, I'm not making that cast, I let it go. Can you do that? You must try that for me, please, and feed me back how easy that is or how hard that is. Oh, because trigger punchers will always try to make that cast happen for every price, for any price in the world, okay? People who have control are able to say, oh no, I'm not going to make that cast, I abort that cast. Try that for yourself. That's the first step into gaining more control over the system, is not speeding it up, throwing a tighter loop, forget about that. Control. You have to build this up from the inside. It all comes from the mind. And I told you the cool cast is the greatest teacher of control there is. I'm not selling you the cool cast, I'm only selling you the knowledge out of the cool cast, and that took me into the science of control theory and the science of military shooting, sniping, hunting, and the ways how you work mentally yourself through trigger mechanisms. Let me sum this up for you quickly, because I'm just shooting from the hip again on the river while I'm fishing. Little piece about control. There's a science behind it, science of control theory. Open loop control system, closed loop control systems. Don't worry about the input, don't worry about the output, sorry. Worry about the input, and the output will make itself. A great sign of control is to be able to abort a cast, to not make it. Because this is what is essential for the sniper who's lying there having to hit another target, because if he doesn't make a super precise shot, he'd rather make no shot or he's dead. That's what I mean with discipline. Fly fishing and the teachings in fly fishing have lost this discipline completely, in my opinion. And that has two reasons. One is the poserism of the loop, and the other one is playing with the fish in the sense of catch and release. I'm not saying that catch and release is bad, don't get me wrong, but what I do say is it distracts from what this here is. A fly rod is a weapon, my friend. And if you if you don't want to know or have to do with weapons, then maybe the fly rod is not the right tool for you. And slow is control. Anyway. Because the slower you are, the more feedback you get from your mind and from your brain, and easier it is to control that cast. Think about that and feed me back on your findings. I said earlier on that fly fishing is out of control, and I really think that, and it's also unfortunately dying. If I look at the demographic of my YouTube channel, which isn't big, so you're welcome to make it bigger and younger too. There's not one person under 25. Don't know why that is, but probably because even the Jesus, protagonists of the sport are bored. Anyway, we talk about that later. Control. What is control? We need to look way deeper into how to control the system, the fly line, and the rod, because what control usually means is not to do something and not to do it. Understand what I mean? Don't know. But the people who have themselves under control, let me say, if there's a party and they must drive their vehicle home, and if they have themselves under control, they do one thing not, they don't drink, for example, because they have to drive the vehicle. And people who don't have themselves under control, they have maybe one or two, or you know how it. So control means normally not doing and not doing. And I say, or not I say that, the control theory says, if you worry about the inputs, the output will make itself. And the only thing a fly rod does by itself, after you put a bend in, is become unbent. That means if I understand control theory right, it's not necessary to make a stop in your casting, because that stopping means you are worrying about the output, about the outcome of the cast, instead of just letting it go. A sniper in the military increases the pressure on the trigger slowly and consciously until the shot breaks by itself. And I think the same mechanism happens to a rod and a line, but only if you let it. I'll show you a clear indication for that. Or I said in earlier episodes already that I think that a high percentage, 80% of the casting faults comes out of stopping the rod. And I'm not saying it goes. You have to. I actually need your help because I'm so highly brainwashed myself, because I was told to stop the rod all the time, that it's very hard for me in the meantime not to stop the rod anymore, or to have that mental game right, not to worry about that stop and just let go, okay? And I show you the clear indication for rod stopping is this little stop wave, that there. Do you see this? After that, what you call loop forms the line picture. There's another little wave forming here, tickling after line. And that's from that rock. Seen it there very well because I stopped hard. If you stop really hard, you get the system unnecessarily hard shocked, or I have no it would be cool if I could find someone who is into physics and control theory and can help me explain this, because when I try not to stop and to focus on only the bend, I get far cleaner casts here. Look, clean cast, and the hard stop one, shock, ugly knots, nothing, no good. So if I put this bend in the rod conscious and just let the process run of bending and unbending that rod, not if I let the rod do the work, but if I make the rod do the work, then I personally get the cleanest casting result, and mentally that is related with a surprise break and shooting. I know that's a bit of a difficult psychological connection to make, but if you do that, you realize your casting suddenly becomes way smoother and cleaner because you're not stopping the rod anymore. Oh! Ah! That was a salmon on a dry fly on the top section of a rod. Oh my goodness! Will she come again? Oh! I have to stop the camera and be back in a minute here. Right, folks. I was just doing a little piece on control and rose a fish there on a dry fly, and I rested it now for a wee minute with the top section of my rod here only, and I hope you can see this. We try this fish again together here now and see. Oh, tangled up, you lose the control. See how I was just casting, totally unaware, and doing this trigger punching, that quick, fast, unaware shit. This is not how you score, okay? Especially not with the top section. Now, get our shit together and try it again. Again, the trigger punch on. I must take my full rod here. So what I'm saying, this trigger punching thing, this mechanism in your brain that comes with every cast. Just there. Oh, already. Come on, fishy. Oh yeah, that's another thing I wanted to tell you about rod stopping. If you ask the super competition caster specialists, I, in my case, asked a person who casts very well called Bart de Zwaan from Holland. Bart, I says, how do you stop the rod, or how do you stop the thing? How do you do it? What do you do? Exactly. Walk me through your rod stopping process, I said. And he said, you know, I don't know. What I do, what I make is a soft stop. What do you mean a soft stop? What is that? Slightly distracted because of that fish. Angle, I hope. Competition caster Bart de Zwaan, soft stop. Soft stop. And if you ask, for example, Sexy Loops, very own Paul Arden, he says, the stop is one of the most complicated concepts in fly casting. Yeah, I tell you why it's the most complicated fly casting concept. because it's unnecessary. Because it's just unnecessary. If I understand science of control theory, what are we doing here with this fish? Trying another fly quickly. I'll be back. I think today, now, these days, you have to come to a stage where you can enjoy your casting as if it was the thing itself. Thank you very much for watching FlyQ's episode number 6 in the series 1. Tight lines, everybody, and please remember, we don't own the water owns us.